curling actually was first referred to here in Paisley. So the first written reference of a contest using stones on ice is from the monks in Paisley from 1541. So it's very fitting that we have a Scottish ladies seniors curling champion on our Paisley campus today. A employed businesswoman who was brought up and educated in Kirkcaldy.
Kirkcaldy.
See, I can't. All right, you know what I mean. Where she became quite passionate about sport. She studied physical education in Edinburgh, receiving a Bachelor in Education with honors in physical education. Her interest and experience and expertise in curling led to her appointment to the post of National Director of Coaching for Scotland in 1993. She's competed in curling at the highest levels, representing Scotland at many international matches, most recently at the World Senior Curling Championship in Sweden. It appears that being a curling champion and mother to 4 children is not enough of a challenge for her, so she recently took on Base Camp Everest, which I would love to hear more about. Her list of curling awards is too long to list here, but she's also known for her coaching and her training, and she inspires other individuals and organizations to achieve their best. So please welcome Vicky.
Thank you. Hi, this is a whole new experience. I'm much more used to being on the ice or being on the go. And in fact, anyone that knows me is used to me not being dressed quite so smartly. Shorts and t-shirts, leggings, trainers, welly boots is really much more my style. However, this is a really important uniform for me today. This is my jacket that I was awarded from the RCCC, Royal Caledonian Curling Club. And when you win a Scottish championship, you get the right to wear the blazer with my name badge underneath. Now, there are some... There's many curlers in Scotland. We are the home of curling throughout the world, although Canada does have the edge on expertise. But there's many curlers who have got lists and lists and lists of achievements down here. And you may think, oh, she's Scottish senior curling champion. It's not that big a deal. In fact, my own son, my youngest son, who's 14, said, Mum, that's not a real Scottish champion. That's curling for old people. And I said, it's special to me, darling. It's special to me. And he's right. It is curling for old people. But there is significance for that for me. I have been wanting to have my name on my back as a Scottish representative at some sport for a long time. And that's what I'm going to talk about a little bit today, about that journey. And my first picture I'm going to put up, maybe. This is me as a little girl with my big brothers around me. And the caption is, if this woman can, then any woman can. And that's really what I'm here today. My goodness me, what an inspiring day. What 2 wonderful women to follow. It's unbelievable. Thank you very much for those that invited me today. I've had a wonderful time reflecting on my own life to get to this point. You could ask me to come a few years ago and I've had less to say. However, I'm here today. So this is me over 50 years ago in Kirkcaldy, surrounded by my big brothers. And I think as a result of having 3 brothers, I grew up in a sporting household. I always wanted to be a boy, really. My mum was heartbroken as she put me in pink, pink, pink and dresses, dresses, dresses. I can't even choose my own dresses. This is our team dress. This is the dress that we wore to the closing banquet at the World Championships, and our team chose it. And I said, yep, that's fine. And actually, we were all the same. So this is Team Scotland dress. Did you spot me in it today? What a crazy world. Anyway, so started in Kirkcaldy, very keen on sport, and that's just what I did. I had a very fortunate lifestyle. I suppose I learnt to running away from bullies. I come from Kirkcaldy. It's an unusual spelling. It's an old mining town and can be quite rough in parts. And my folks had moved from Edinburgh. And we weren't well off, but we were from Edinburgh, so we had a different accent. And I think that in itself probably set us apart slightly. And we were classed as well off and posh. And we sometimes had to run away from people, so I learned how to run. I think that's probably how it all started. So Kirkcaldy has an ice rink. As a young person, my knowledge of Scotland came about by ice rinks. I can tell you just about where every ice rink in Scotland is, because if I was going away for a weekend curling, it would be to Inverness or to Perth or to Kinross. There's one up the road here at Green Acres. I spoke to someone today, they had never heard of Uplandmoor, and I said, never heard of Uplandmoor? Everyone's heard of Uplandmoor, there's an ice rink close by. I thought I was going to Ayr today, my car knew how to get there. Came to Paisley. So curling was a really important part of all the activities I did, and I loved it because of a number of things. It was a team sport. I didn't know that at the time, but I loved it because it was a team sport. The next picture I have up here is the team. This is this year's Scottish senior curling team. You don't have to be blonde to get in the team, but it does seem to help a little bit. So curling in Scottish seniors means that you have to be over 50 to play. So they were waiting for somebody to be over 50 to play in this team, because the 3 girls are over 50, but their 4th member is not 50 yet. And these girls have played curling all the way through. I took a break. I stopped curling for quite a few years, for whatever reason. Oh, I can tell you the reason why. My husband's family owned the ice rink and built the ice rink. And then when the crash came and money went down, they decided it was no longer viable, and they decided to close the ice rink. It wasn't so popular with the community. It wasn't so popular in the family, and it was difficult. And I decided that was a good time to stop. So I stopped playing completely, which was hard because it was part of who I am, part of who our family were. So I had stopped curling for a long time. And then as the girls were getting to 50, they were looking for a player to come in. But the funny thing about this curling team is that the 3 ladies there, I have known since I was a teenager. In fact, my skip, I'm the 2nd player. I have to tell you a bit about curling. I can't stand here and not tell you about curling. So furthest on the far away side is Susan, she's the skip. Fabulous lady, helped choose the dresses, she owns a dress shop. 2nd player, Morna, she's from Uplandmoor. Her wedding was in Uplandmoor, married to the coach, David. She's been a stay-at-home mum all her life. And her children, she has 3 daughters, have all represented their country at curling. They're all international curlers. They're marvellous. Her husband, David, has represented his country at curling many times. He's a junior world champion. He's played at different events. He's also an international coach. She had never won a Scottish championship, despite having tried many, many times, including with me at juniors. So we're talking 35 plus years. The next, again, player, Fran. Wow, she's an amazing lady. Curled as a junior, won juniors, then went to go down south. She's a doctor. She works in palliative care and has done for 17 years in a hospital in Kirkcaldy. She sees a lot of stuff going on, but boy, she is calm. Looking for someone in a crisis, that's your lady. She's seen it all, done it all. What a great member of the team to have. And then there's little old me at the end. I was kind of the sporty one, enjoy playing sport. I'm also interested in how we think about things. So I suppose I kind of brought a bit more of the sports psychology stuff to the team. Collectively, we've probably known each other for hundreds of years, which sounds scary to say, but it's true. I've known Susan for over 50 years. I've known Morna for 35 years, known Fran for 35 years. Add that up 3 times. I mean, it's hundreds of years of communication between us. Did we ever think we'd play together? No. Because when we were young, we didn't all get on that well. We had differences. We were different. We didn't know about those differences. However, when we went to Sweden as a team, those 10 days we were away, I can absolutely say there was never, ever a cross word. I couldn't believe it. I kind of expected there to be moments where we kind of got fed up with each other, or things were under pressure, or it wouldn't work. But it never happened. We were always, as a unit, incredibly strong. And I wondered what that was. What made us so special? And coming here today, I had a chance to reflect on these things. And actually, one of the things was that we were incredibly different. We've always been different. But those differences somehow became our strengths. The stuff that we brought to the team merged us together, made us stronger as a unit. We held our intention, as we talked about today, holding our intention, but that made us strong. And I guess I kind of think about, as I thought about that, about other teams I've been in. I go back to my little baby girl sitting there with her team around her. That was my family in those days. And then we go on to this team. So that's the girls in Sweden. You might want to know how we got on. I thought we were on for a medal. We were good enough. We are good enough. Played we won all our games in the round robin bar one. And that put us into quarter-finals, which is a pretty good result. We came up against the double Olympic, 3 times world champion, 7 times European champion from Sweden, who just happened to play really well against us and beat us in quarter-finals. So our world championships came to an end. That was okay. We'll come back, we hope. So World Championships was very special, but actually what was really more special was the intention that we'd set out at the start of the season. And I've been speaking to people today about competition and how we face our life, having been in a sporting environment, how growing up through sport, what's important to us about winning and losing, about being the best, about getting good results, about wanting the next thing on the list. And all of those things seemed very true for me. You know, I went from school. I was good at things at school. I had an experience of getting the exams I wanted. I wanted to go to PE college, and we talked about this at lunchtime. That, you know, some countries didn't even have PE colleges, but in Scotland we did. We had one in Ayr, didn't do a degree. There was one college in Scotland that had a degree course for PE, and I said I want to go to that. And my dad said, "You'll never get in. You know, there's no jobs in PE. What do you want to do that for?" I said, "I just want to do it, Dad." So I think there were about 800 applicants for that course, and 40 people were picked. I don't know how that happened, but hey, I was there and got onto that course and got through the degree, and that was the start of sport for me in Edinburgh. It was wonderful, but it just followed on. Then from there I didn't get a teaching job. Only 38 people in Scotland qualified that year, and there weren't teaching jobs for us all. Not like it is now, they're looking out for teachers, but then a lot of my friends went away down south. And I was hanging on to this job. There was a job director of coaching for curling. I was hanging on to it, thinking, I might just get that. I've done my degree, I'm pretty good, I might just get that. So I made decisions around staying in Edinburgh. And I haven't reflected on this for a long time until I was thinking about coming here today. And something that the 2 ladies earlier both have mentioned, and it really struck with me, that both Anne and Corinne had terrible things happen in their life. And it's a case of fight or flight. And both of them have fought. They may have felt like fleeing, and at times they may have flew, but they really fought. They didn't run away from it, they fought. Fight or flight set in. I've not really had that in my life. I've not had a really traumatic situation that's happened to me. I'm thinking, you know, isn't that interesting that we're all sitting here, I guess you're sitting like me thinking, wow, what amazing stories these 2 ladies have told us today. Aren't they inspirational? But I think the theme of fight or flight came to my mind. And so when I was in my early 20s, I was working really hard. I like to do things hard. I like to play hard, party hard, love hard, fight hard, whatever it was. But I'm going to do it as hard as I can. And I was at work and I got a cold, as you do. And then it never got better. And I had a viral pneumonia. I didn't know that, of course. Viral pneumonia. And then that meant I was at home for a few weeks. Then eventually I was given an antibiotic, or whatever it was called. And it didn't work. And the next thing I wasn't very well, and the next thing I'm now in hospital. And a bit like Corinne was saying, but fortunately nothing really dramatic happened to me, other than I ended up with a nephritis, the kidneys were going down, but I was 3 weeks in hospital. 3 weeks as a young woman seemed a long time. And then I was 6 months off work. So sort of 9 months of sort of my 23rd year, I wasn't working. And I think for me now, reflecting back, that was my kind of fight or flight moment. I didn't know that. And I hear the ladies talking today that they had something. But I think from that point on, I thought, you know, how lucky am I? And I think as a result of that, I've had an opportunity to make choices around what I want to do. I've also noticed that a lot of the choices I've made, if it's going to help somebody else, then I'm more likely to make it. So I've done a lot of charity stuff. So I don't really want to go and do that just for me, but if I can give back to charity, then that makes it okay. Like, how funny is that? Has anyone else had that idea? But certainly I've had that idea. So, as a stay-at-home mother, that's another story. I finally got the job of director of coaching, the job I had wanted for so long. Then I thought, okay, I've got that. That's really what I wanted. Life's wonderful. I'm married. That's wonderful. I'd like to have a baby at some point, but you know what? I have been ill and other things. What if it doesn't happen for us? Lots of people try to have a baby and it doesn't happen. What if that happens to us? What if it takes a long time for us to be able to have a baby? So you probably can guess what's coming. We went down to near Culzean Castle, and we were staying in a caravan there. Not long after I'd got my nice new job, and I was feeling great with the world. And lo and behold, a month later, I was expecting. But it never struck me to go back to work after I had my baby girl. Never struck me. That was my chosen career. So the other jobs almost were secondary to that. Just interesting how, for some way, we make choices. So I'm going to go on to the next picture, because this is choices that I've made, talking about when you, in my life, I want to do something, but thought, well, perhaps I could help somebody else by doing it. Okay, so I've done marathon, I've done charity skiing, I've done charity horse riding, I've done walking, various things. So marathon. Well, when I was younger, women didn't do marathons. Depending what age you are in the room, marathon is quite a common thing now, but when I was a young woman, it didn't happen. Not if you were my shape as well. I was more of a sprinting type, so we just didn't do long distance. So it was something that was always beyond me. And then over time, I started working out, and I'm fairly able to do exercise. But again, I thought marathon was something that was beyond me, something that I would never do. And then over time, I thought, well, if other people can do marathon, then maybe it is possible for me. Ah, yes, it's possible for me, but I still can't do it. Oh, no, it's possible for me, and I could do it if I wanted to do it, but I don't really think I want to do it. It's possible for me, and actually, unless I do it, I'll not know that I can do it. And actually, I'm a bit scared, because what if I start it and I can't do it? So I think I want to do marathon. Other people can do marathon. So what was the difference that made the difference for me? What took me from, well, other people can do it, I think I can, but actually I'm scared of what might happen. And how did I actually get to the point of doing marathon? What happened? And I can tell you what happened. Somebody believed in me. Somebody believed that I could run a marathon and said, I can help you get to that. Of course you can do it. And really? Yes, really. And that was the difference that made the difference. I was no longer on my own, thinking that I might, could, should, I'd like to, or somewhere in between. I believe in you. You believe in me. Oh, well, if you believe in me, well, who am I not to believe in me? I think that's the same strategy that got me here today, by the way. Is the same strategy that got me here today. So, somebody believed in me. I actually met with them yesterday, and I said, I'm going to go down and talk about inspiring people, inspiring women, and some of the challenges that I've had along the way. Marathon has been defining for me in so many ways. I thought I'd like to do it. Other people can do it. I think I could maybe do it. I don't have to do it to prove. I tell you what, from this side looking back, saying, oh, I have done it. I could do it. I now know how hard I can push. I know where I can find stuff from the inside. I know more about me. I know that I did want to do it. And I know that I can carry on doing other things, new things. And I can help other people do that. How cool is that? I often go back to my marathon time and think about that whole journey. And marathon's really only a metaphor for whatever it is that you want to do in your life. For me, it was marathon because I like to do sport. It might be performing in front of people singing. It might be painting a picture and putting it in an exhibition, whatever that is. But for me, It was marathon. I was with David yesterday, and I do remember the first marathon we ran together. And again, I wasn't sure I wanted to enter into a race, because race is competitive. And race is somebody else is going to say that you're this, that, the next thing. And it wasn't about that. It was about running the distance, about proving that I could do it. And it just so happens that it's still the same, because I haven't moved. From my house to the Falkirk Wheel, guess what? It's a marathon along the canal. So we decided one morning, we chose a date. That's the other thing. The date was way ahead, and we worked back how we were going to train for this event. Picked the date, and we were going to go and run marathon. I've got to say, I was still scared and still doubted that I could do it, but I had a plan. I broke it down into little steps. I'd started with 5Ks, 10Ks, half marathons, so up to 12, up to 14, up to 16 miles. I know it sounds huge, but actually, as you're doing it bit by bit, it's doable. So the morning of marathon was dawning closely. And of course, lo and behold, we were invited out for supper the night before. It had come into the diary, and I thought, I don't want to miss going out for supper with friends, because that's really important. And I'm doing the marathon the next morning. What to do? Right, well, just fine. I'll drive. All will be good. Except the decision was to go for curry. It's okay. I'm still going to go and have curry the night before I'm going to run my first. It's all okay. Nearly okay. Anyway, we set off, and all was good, and my running partner is very understanding, and I had to just find woods, and off we went, and I ran a lot lighter towards the end, and all is good. And the wonderful thing is that I had support in that. We planned it, and my husband came to support us. In fact, at the end, he had a toilet roll hung up between a tree and a something, and we ran down past the Falkirk Wheel, through the toilet tape, and wow, isn't it great to remember these things that you've done that are amazing? So the photograph I have up behind me is last year's marathon, Edinburgh Marathon. This is my whole family. Proud mama. So you can see I've got 2 boys and 2 girls. None of them are thinking about doing marathon. I think I might have put them off running, see me coming home like this. And the reason I've got this picture up is to show that, the first marathon was huge. It was a huge step, and I had lots of help. The second time I was going to train for the next marathon, I said to the same guy, I'm going to have a marathon again. Oh yeah, right. You know what he did? He kind of backed off. Oh, I was mad at him. I was mad at him. Why is he not coming? Why is he not helping me train? Why is he not helping me do that? Just kind of let me get on with it. And I'm like, can't believe it. And I said to him, not much going on here, not helping me much here. And he said, don't need me, Vicky, you got this. Wow, couldn't believe it. Third time, I was able to go with somebody else and kind of help them. What a journey. So even within the one event, it grows, and it grows. So this was last year, running for charity again, and a new charity that has just been to help young people. So I'm really happy to be able to show that. I look all right considering I've just run 26.2 miles. Oh, okay, so next photograph, expanding my world. So I've not had any really dramatic things happen, real fight or flight moments that I'm aware of. And as I reflect back for coming here today, I thought, what was really a defining moment in my life? There has been a few. My brother falling off a building in Spain, and we thought we might lose him, and then him being in hospital for a long time, and then coming home to the UK with no one to look after him. Well, obviously, I would have him. We had enough space. I'm a stay-at-home mum. He'd come and stay with me. So suddenly, I'm afraid all my stories have kind of got a bit of toilet stuff in them. I don't know why, but I think it might be the story of my life. But he came home to stay. He was very broken. At that point, he was the highest faller to survive. And he had a number of broken bits and bobs. And I remember my son was only about 9 months old when he came home. And it was a race to see who was going to walk first, my brother or my son. and they were fighting for it. And I'm pushing the wheelchair, backpack with the baby in, kids at school, 2 dogs, and folk would say to me, I never knew you were a nurse, Vicky. And I said, I'm not a nurse. But it's a bit about finding something that you didn't know you had, and it was really defining. It was wonderful on many occasions, on many levels, but that whole sense of family and that whole sense of team and our differences, again, I think, within the family, we all gave our bit, and that was my bit to look after him. The next big thing that really happened in my life, because as you can see, I'm a pretty happy-go-lucky. I just love doing sport. I really like people. I've had a good life. I had a very good life. And my husband's business was very successful, and as a result, I was able to stay at home and look after 4 kids. Now, not many people in Scotland can say that these days, but I could. I was always a bit embarrassed about it in some respects. Having said that, I was pony club committee, playgroup chairman, one of those mums that was always helping. And then suddenly in 2008, the big property crash, the banks went down. Anyone heard of it? And our world changed. Not so much that we were out on the streets, nothing terribly dramatic in that respect, but we didn't know how our life was going to change, and it was quite frightening. And my husband hit a big low point. 17 years of working in the family firm that had been around for 100 years, and suddenly it was going to be repossessed and he would be out of a job. It was scary. Much scarier than running a marathon. And we didn't know. We didn't know what would happen. So, me and my wisdom thought, we'll find a way around this. I'll go back to work, obviously. I'll go and get my training thing had run out. I have to go back into a year's training, which is fine. I'll do something to help and get a full-time job. And then I saw this advert. It was a Groupon advert, actually. It was for an NLP program. And I decided that would be really useful for me and my husband to go and do this together. So off we went together. I loved it. He just managed through it. And actually the person who ran that day is here today. And it was a very significant and important part of my life. Because from then on I thought, actually I know some stuff that, it comes quite naturally to me. So I went and started to retrain in NLP. Said lady knows how much I cried. Said lady's probably thinking, how the hell is she standing up there now? Because she was all over the place when I first met her. And I discovered things about me and how I do things, about how I am willing to say yes, I am willing to go forward, and I really like to have someone say, yes, you can do it. And now I understand that that's just part of my program. Isn't that good to know? So I've just started to discover things about my program. Every single one of us in this room has a different program. And so when you listen to the ladies up here who are amazing, and I absolutely agree that we've heard great things. The workshop today, I sat and spoke to different ladies, brilliant stories. Everybody's unique in their own way. And my story is unique and special, just like everybody else's. But as a result of that special day, I chased on, because I wanted to get the thing done. And was able to continue my training and learn so much. Thank you. And as a result of that, I found myself in India on a further training. Little old me, who had never left my home, I had never been away from my husband, and off I went to India to go for some further training with a trainer that trains throughout the world, but one of her programs is in India. And the reason she does that is so that we can experience different cultures and different ways of life. I think somebody earlier on said, we're just people. We all go to the toilet, we all do things. A little bit more difficult in a sari, it has to be said, but it's still the same. And I arrived in India and experienced a very different world. It was wonderful. And here's a photograph of me with my second daughter, who also came out with me 1 year. She had finished school, didn't know what she was doing, was going to do an apprenticeship. And we decided that perhaps coming out with me for a short while would be useful. We're very different. We had quite a different relationship. However, sharing a bed for 2 weeks and growing and learning has changed our relationships, not just for that 2 weeks, but for the rest of our lives together. I have great thanks for that. Another special and defining moment. So it's about expanding my world. I thought my world was great. I didn't know there was this greater opportunity for me. I was middle-aged. I had been doing a lot for other people, but actually there was a bit about me inside there. And by finding that, I guess I'm now able to perhaps invite other people to find that within themselves. What have I got next? Well, well. As a result of saying yes to things that just come along and fitting in with the I'm going to be helping other people, a friend of mine posted on Facebook, I knew he was going to Base Camp Everest, and he said, oh, there's still a space if anybody fancies. And you know what? In my kitchen, I just said, well, if he can do it, here I go again. If he can do it, I can do it. I'm a lot fitter than he is. What's he doing it for? NSPCC. Oh, what a great cause. I could do that. So within about a month, I think, of seeing that Facebook post, I was on my way to base camp. People said things like, how irresponsible of you, leaving your children behind. Somebody said, if that's the kind of example you give your children, what do you think your sons might do? Hadn't thought of that one. Bizarre, just coming from their different maps. For me, I'm thinking, oh, here we go again. I'm scared. I'm going off to Nepal. I don't really know what I'm doing. However, it was a fantastic decision. I was able to raise money for NSPCC, which was wonderful. We set off. It's quite a challenge, apparently. I met somebody the other night who's keen to go, but she's scared to go. And she said, it's this, it's that. And she said, it made it sound so frightening. And I said, I've done it and I'm terrified. And then I remembered it was terrifying. And what's terrifying about it is that you lose your breath. You know, you're not sure how much breath you're going to get. So this photograph is taken at the highest point of my life. I've never been higher on the planet. I'm standing at a place called Kalapatar. It's 18,000 feet. Ben Nevis is at 4,000 feet. I did Ben Nevis. It's wonderful. I can't believe Corinne did that. Amazing. So up at the top of Kalapatar, you can't really breathe. Oh, have I got a pointer thing there? Which is the pointer thing? Right. Oh, not that one. Just want to put... Oh, there it is. What is that? All right, okay. So any of you who don't know which is Mount Everest, because it's like an assumption that everyone would know which one it is. So I'm sitting opposite Mount Everest. This is base camp somewhere down here. So I was walking down there the next day. This is my high point. You have to go higher to go down lower so that you can sleep. It's the way that work at altitude. So if I wanted to stay at that level, I have to go higher than that so my lungs get used to it so I can sleep at night. Even down there was high. So Kalapatar, where I'm up here, is the 8,848 meters. Base camp's slightly lower than that. Sorry, Kalapatar's 5,000 meters. This one over here, this big brute of a thing, that's her. That's Mount Everest. I know in a photograph it looks just a big black grey mountain. When I first saw Mount Everest in Nepal, my heart skipped a beat. I'm seeing the highest mountain on the planet. I'm thinking, wow, there's nothing higher on the planet than that, and I'm pretty close to it, and I'm walking towards it. It's a very, very unique experience. Now, again, it is kind of a metaphor for me. That's my Everest. Everyone will have their own. Base camp down here that we walk to is my Everest, and I do not ever want to go up that high. And I've met a lady called Molly Hughes who she's summited Everest from both sides, from this side, Nepalese side, and other side, the Chinese side. She's only about 23, 24. Oh my God, she's just amazing. Somebody for your list, ladies. So, well done, Molly. And talking of inspirational women, I met another one the other day. Oh my goodness, she's incredible too. A young woman. However, for me, up here, at base camp, you start to experience things that perhaps you don't experience anywhere else. You're a long way from home, so you start to appreciate those that you really love. You start to appreciate what it is about yourself that you can rely on. There's nobody else around that really knows you. They can't tell how you're feeling on the inside. You can't really make it up. You have to be completely true and honest. And that's a good place to be. I remember that night my friend took very unwell. He actually never managed to complete the climb, was flown off the mountain the next day, and I had to decide to go on my own, which I did. Actually, what I wanted to tell you about was just 2 days before this photograph, I'd actually had enough. Have I got time to? Yeah, I can watch my time. I had enough. I thought, I'm out of here. I've done well. NSPCC are getting their money. I've come here with a month's notice. I've walked pretty high. It's hard work. And I've had enough. And the reason I'd had enough was I had taken the drugs for altitude sickness, which is called Diamox. And they're diuretic and they make you pee. And that's fine, but you're also advised to drink about 6 litres of fluid a day. Okay, so I'm now a middle-aged woman, 6 litres of liquid a day, and on drugs to make you go to the toilet. That's all okay as well, because there's not that many toilets. You can just kind of have to go wherever you have to go. But I'm in a tent, and I had to zip out my sleeping bag, and then zip out the top bit, then get out, get my boots on, zip out again, then go out, and then get to the toilet, it was a hole in the ground, and then come back, get back in and reverse the whole thing. I was doing that 5 times a night. I was exhausted. And then, of course, the men were snoring in the tent next door, and I could hear them. And it was just awful. So the walking during the day was okay, but at the night time I couldn't stand it. And I had promised myself I'd be okay in the tent. And with people who were living in tents, and there was a lot about Syria on the news and the terrible camps, and I thought, these people are living their whole life in tents. I'll manage 2 weeks. I'll be okay. But I hadn't accounted for the toileting stuff, so I'm afraid that's the second. And that same night, my tooth broke. And I'd said to the dentist before I went, I think that tooth's it'll be okay. It broke. So I now had this big gaping bit at the back. So I had to find a little shop, find some chewing gum they suggested would be good. So then I couldn't find chewing. I had bubble gum, so I had some bubble gum, chewed it, stuck it in the hole at the back. We're at altitude, and I couldn't toilet, and then every time I woke up at night, there was this little dog, and he would open his eye and look at me as I would go around. I love animals, so I was really connected with this dog. And he would look at me, and I would look at him, and I'm off to the toilet again, you know. And I could hear the dog. He was so close that I could hear him, and he'd turn around, and I liked it. It felt like being at home, you know. And it was cold outside, and I thought, that dog's amazing. So the last time I went to the toilet, it was a beautiful night. The moon had come up over the hill. It was just incredible. And then I heard the bells going, and the dogs started looking at me, and I thought, there's something going on. A yak had come into where we were sleeping and was trying to lick up the breakfast bowls and things, and the dog was telling me. So between me and the dog, we shooed the yak away, and you know, it was just chaos. And again, somebody there. The next morning, I said, I've had it, you know, yaks, peeing. It's all too much for me. I'm out of here. And somebody, again, just like my other story, there was somebody that said, no, it's up to you. You don't have to. Of course you can stop. But there's no reason for you to stop. You have everything that you need to be able to do this. I believe in you. And I know people that have not gone on, and they've regretted it. It's up to you. And at that point, I decided I would carry on. So there we go. The second time I really, really recognised that I had somebody else saying, you can do this. And they were right. I could do it. I had it in abundance. I also was a bit miserable, though, thinking about, you know, slow steps. And I decided that I would walk next to somebody who I thought was really inspirational. He was an army captain. He's now a major. And he was singing, and he was happy. And I'm thinking, well, what is it with this guy? So I said to him, you're really happy. What is it about, you know, when you're having tough times? He was a soldier. He'd been all over the world and fighting. And he said, well, I just think, how lucky am I? How lucky am I to be here? And I thought, yeah. I thought, just try that on. Just try on. God, how lucky am I to be here? Difference that made, I can tell you. And I was fine after that. But it was a really big night, that I wasn't sure I was going to make it. The person that's responsible for this is in the room, so she's laughing. So going back to me curling in Glasgow, we're desperate to win the Scottish Championships for the first time, having played for donkey's years and having now come back in and thinking, really, we want to try and win this event. So, well, a couple of things. Is it possible? I can do it. Well, I can curl. I've been doing it since I was 13, and I've practiced and I've coached and I love it. I can do it, and I deserve it. Yeah. I don't deserve it any more than anybody else. But yeah, I deserve it. They deserve it too, but it's okay for me to deserve it. And so going back to what Catherine was talking about this morning, something that you hold for yourself, your own intention, or perhaps something that if you were in the workshop with me that you were holding in your own mind, something that you would like to do. I'd like you to think of that now. I'm sure you've all got something. And then what I'd like you to do is all stand up. Because if you just say the words, it kind of like loses a little bit. Oh, we've had a chat, Stuart and I. We've had the chat. Stuart's down here. He's going to be giving it action down from the seat. So just saying the words is one thing, but somebody talked about feeling something through your whole body. So there are a few actions that go with this. So the first one is knowing what it is that you've got in your head that you'd like to go for. I want you to say with one hand, it is possible.
It is possible.
Okay, not bad for a start. Okay. So you've got your first hand. Second hand, I can do it.
I can do it.
Okay, and remembering this third one is for I deserve it, not any more than anybody else, but you so deserve it. We're going to put all three together. Are you ready? It is possible. I can do it. I deserve it. How's that? Not bad. We have to do it at least a couple of more times. Are you ready? It is possible. I can do it. I deserve it. And again, it is possible. I can do it. I deserve it. Whoa, how is that? Sit down again. Oh, I'm not quite finished. Oh, I'm sorry. I've got a couple more things I want to say. That was just an interim. Now I've got you all geared up. I thought I'll never get you quiet again. We did that in Glasgow at the Scottish. It was awesome. It helped. It's good fun. Do it. Do it. Do it. What am I doing next? I wonder. I have managed to persuade my husband to go to South America with me. This is the first. We're so excited. So it is possible to do something beyond Machu Picchu. Here we come. And what I will finish with is my intention of everyday Catherine. My mantra for every day is living, loving, and learning.